Hello, you wonderful coaster screw chewer. I hope you are having a great day and you are here to watch a wonderful new episode of Isla Napali, because today we are building actually the very last ride of this park. So stay tuned for the last addition to Isla Napali and enjoy today's episode. We see each other on the other side of the cut. Which necessarily is not really a cut, it's more like a transition. Anyhow, you know what I mean. So first things first, a little reminder, it is the last Friday before the next week, the big week, the more important week, the most important week of the year, actually. Well, it's the Gamescom and I will be there, so expect less normal videos next week on the channel. Basically, I think I won't be able to produce anything for next week. Maybe one episode of Isla Napali, but the rest will be filled with content from the Gamescom, obviously. I will try to bring you everything I can. I will try to talk to people about Planet Coaster. I want to talk about a potential Planet Coaster 2 at some point. I don't know if there will be. I mean, you know, no one has ever said anything regarding this, and I don't believe there will be any news about this, but maybe we get some cheeky hints or whatever out of them. If so, I'll let you know, but most importantly, we are going to talk a lot about Planet Zoo. It is that time where we have to shift our focus a little bit, and the focus will now transition more and more towards the wonderful game of Planet Zoo, which is normal. I think it's nothing bad at all, because I want to talk a little bit about this in this episode, because the episode will give me a little bit of freedom to talk to you. It's fairly long today, and we are building this Flatride, as you can see. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this Flatride on a later stage once we have done the whole building over here, because it will be quite tedious. It's sped up by 12 times, because otherwise I couldn't have just fit that in. That's what she said, but honestly, there was no need for me to cut this into 2 episodes. I did already cut out quite a little bit of footage here, which is unnecessary to show you, and I also cut out a little bit of too much of waiting time and stuff, and still there was like over 3 hours of footage for this one. This is kind of the sacrifice when you do this in live streams. We had a fun live stream, but the progress sometimes is just very slow. Anyways, we can conquer this with making it faster. That's fine. And now we can talk about a bit more about Planet Zoo. And here's the thing, I am super excited about the game because of, obviously because of the game itself, but also because it will be a new installment of the Planet franchise. I think one thing that no one has said yet is what we do with Planet Coaster except building theme parks. And honestly, that will be pretty much the same, only better in Planet Zoo. So I see Planet Zoo for once as a zoo game, but as a second thing, as an improved sandbox of a Planet game. So don't get me wrong, I love building parks and stuff in here, but essentially what we, especially the kind of crazy builder people in the sandbox modes, have been doing now for 3 years straight is always trying to achieve something new. Little example, Sylph is actually building a skiing resort at the moment. Is it functioning? No, absolutely not. Are people loving it? Absolutely freaking yes. So could he build this in a Planet Zoo? Yes. Even better? Yes. Hell, because he's got weather and snow. He can even get some wolves in this area and roam around. Maybe we even get a chairlift. You know, this could even be the case. If not, well, people are going to build that definitely in the game with the pieces available. So, I mean, there is so much potential in it to build stuff and to do stuff which is absolutely not related to Planet Zoo. So I could give you all of my ideas, but I won't. So I have, and I'm not even exaggerating, I have a list. At a certain point in time, I will reveal this list when I have kind of check-marked most of them. I have a list of 20 projects at the moment. I can't decide for one. I have 20 projects. They are different categories. I would say like 5 main projects and 15 second kind of side projects, if you will. Even though if you know me, you know that my side projects would be a full-fledged project for everyone else. It's just me lying to myself that this would be a side project. So yeah, I have to say that's like only 7 of these projects I was just cheekily looking at the little file. 7 of those projects are actually related to Zoo. The rest, the 13 other ones, are not related to a zoo at all, and I'm still very certain that this will be possible in Planet Zoo, like we will be able to do this. So I am so super excited for getting a better sandbox game to create crazy stuff. I mean, we get, let's just name it, we get the same terrain modifier tool, which is awesome, and I hope they have we haven't heard anything about this. It looks absolutely exactly the same, so I think maybe they haven't even improved it at all, because it is already pretty solid and pretty good. Maybe they have like done some little details here and there, but anyways, I would be happy with the same tool at all, because it's a gorgeous tool. It does what it does, and it, you know, you can basically do everything with it. What people have been creating with the terrain in Planet Coaster is just stunning, and with an even improved graphics engine, yep, I'm gonna take this. The piece-by-piece building is still in the game, and I'm fairly certain that we will have more pieces at the beginning than we had in Planet Coaster. Simply because it's the same engine, they can definitely use a lot of those pieces they had in Planet Coaster. I'm fairly sure they won't say it's the same piece, but they just reskinned it or whatever, which, to be honest, it's totally fine. This is what you have to do. This is using synergies. They would be mad if they wouldn't. So hopefully they did use as many as they could, because this will mean we have even more from the get-go, because they have so much already as a foundation, given all the wall pieces. And I think, yeah, I definitely think that the Ghostbusters pack is the perfect example. They will definitely have most of those wall pieces brought into the kind of modern, standard-ish Central European zoo theme. Again, just maybe a little bit of a different shading, because the graphics engine is improved, but the model itself, like the 3D model itself, should be basically the same. I think also in terms of proportions, dimensions, all these kind of things will be pretty much the same in the game from what we've seen. I don't think they have changed the metrics or whatever. This would be totally, that would be totally unnecessary. For whatever reason would you do that? So I'm just very happy to basically get the same tool, just a better one. You know, this is like the tool we've been working with for nearly 4 years now, and 3, and we get an even better tool. So it'll definitely replace Planet Coaster in terms of these crazy outbreak projects. You know, this take for example my latest side project, if you will, the Planet Man. You know, the Planet Man is something I wouldn't be doing in Planet Coaster any longer. Boom, full stop. Why would I do this? I mean, I have a better engine, I have a more modern game, I have a better whatever system, hopefully even better performance, or in regards of performance, an even better game. So I would definitely build in there. Would you see a difference? Yeah, you would, because it would look better, but that's it. The only thing that changes is basically the game displayed on YouTube, which I'm playing, but the engine, the core behind it is the same. It's actually exactly the same. So this is why I'm so super excited. If it wasn't for a zoo, which I do like as well, and I'm still a big fan of, it would definitely be for the reason being that I definitely want to be I definitely want to be considered as one who's going crazy with the tools available, and this is why I'm so excited for this. Well, since we are halfway through this episode now, I think it's about time to talk actually about what we are doing in the background. So, just going a little bit back in time, I think 3 weeks ago, I had one guest floor episode where we were talking about the planning of Isla Napali. And with this planning, we decided to put, actually I decided and you agreed on, to be a bit more precise here, I decided, you approved that I decided, so that's the way we want to call that. We are going to put a Flatride on this little hill over here. And this little hill over here is just the perfect spot for a Flatride that is, and now this is something that has changed, because if you remember this episode, we were talking about 2 different Flatrides, and it ended up being the power moves now, for a very, very, very good reason. And this is the excitement rate of this ride is fairly high. And in the meantime, I made some more guest floor episodes, and I realized that this area is lacking some serious entertainment for the people. Like, there is not that much of an interest for people to go here, even though there is this wonderful log flume and also the wooden coaster. They are both by far not as much of a magnet for people than the two coasters and the other flat rides in the modern area are. So the reason for me to put in a more exciting flat ride is basically to have a better balance in both areas of the park. So the one area of the park is focused on the modern rides, and usually, as it would be in real life, this is where more traction and more people would be, because it's the more modern and better rides, at least it should be that way. And the older part is definitely the one which is least focused on by guests. However, the balance at the moment is absolutely not given. Like, I would say, for example, a good rate would be 60-40 in terms of percent, like 60% in the newer part and 40% in the old part of the park. But at the moment it's more like 75-25 or something, and we definitely want to get it towards the 60-40, and this is why I needed a better ride in terms of excitement rating. And the excitement rating of the power moves is pretty good, and it was the best combination because the best compromise, because obviously there are more flat rides that have an even better excitement rating, but they're more modern, for example the Insanity and stuff. And yeah, I just didn't want to have a modern ride because it wouldn't fit the old part and the backstory of Isla Napali. So we ended up doing the power moves, and a big thanks to Edgy Spread, who also recommended to use this billboard, which is also brought into the game with the power moves, which is actually belonging to this one. You can put this down on your own, but it definitely is part of this ride. So I wanted to build a cover up myself, a back wall or whatever, but he convinced me in the chat of the live stream to use this one, and I have to agree that this does fit to the story of Isla Napali way better, because back in the days where this park has been founded or changed into an actual theme park, the park hadn't had that much money, so it was a very low budget park. And in terms of what you would buy, you would definitely buy the full package, and rather than building expensive scenery around it. So what they would have done, they would have bought the scenery with it, and which is only the big backside billboard, which potentially wasn't that expensive, and it makes sense to have it there, and they kept it over the times because it got a traditional element of this ride, and you know, that's why. And also I wanted to cover all the backside off with foliage, and it was again Edgy Spread alongside some others in the chat agreeing to him that we shouldn't completely hide this away, because it kind of is a little bit charming in the older area to see some of the backstage stuff, because it is the way it is. It's not a Disney park, it is Isla Napali, and you are allowed to see some of the backstage stuff. It is inevitable at some points anyway, so yeah, that's why. So yeah, all in all, I'm pretty happy with your help, guys, especially in the live streams. It's really helpful, and I'm so grateful that you guys always keep giving me the feedback that is badly needed to make it an even more awesome project than it already is. Yeah, but let's talk a little bit about the queue layout, because we are working on the second building, or actually the actual connection building of the queue. As you have seen at the beginning of the episode, the queue is actually below the ride itself. The ride itself is on a little hill from which we are going to build a mountain, and which we are going to build high. Okay, I'm just quoting the lovely song of Planet Zoo here. But no, back to the queue. It's below that ride, and the idea about this was that first of all, I wanted to have a compact area. I didn't want to make this area awfully big in terms of what is going on. You have seen the little food stands towards the beach side. This is where people can relax and wait for the family members that actually went on the coaster or on the log flume or on the power moves, and they just wait on the beach side because it's relaxing to wait over there. And I wanted to have this a bit more integrated than what the restaurant area on the other side of the island is, which is a bit more in the backside. I wanted to make this a bit more integrated, so this is why I made this really next to the entrance to the power moves. I'm fairly excited to see how this will turn out in the end. We will put all the picnic benches and stuff over there to see if they are actually using them, and if this will be a proper area that people like. If not, we have to do something about it, but I'm confident that this works. But the idea to also put it below is that I wanted to kind of tie it into the story of the botanical garden a bit better. I imagined that this little hill over here would have featured more or less like a greenhouse. Not a greenhouse in terms of a glass house. I'm talking about the greenhouse that is basically growing all the plants or the seeds from the plants you have on the island. And most likely you see this in areas you obviously have the plants growing outside, but you're very reliable on the weather. And in terms of making the growth even more efficient and even more stable and even more constant, you're putting them into a greenhouse where you have some lamps, some UV lamps and some heaters and stuff. And you would have had something like that on Isla Napali as well, once this was not a theme park but actually like a garden island. You would help those plants to grow in a greenhouse, and this is what it usually has been in the past. So it has been turned into a building for the Flatride. So it might even be like an artificial hill put on top of the greenhouse, or the greenhouse has just potentially been changed and got a basement where the queue is sitting in now, and they put the ride on top of it. So this is also the reason why there were so many plants in that queue, because yes, I am aware of the fact that there is not that much sunlight getting down there. So you will need all the UV lamps I also put in at the beginning of the episode, which is necessary to make sure that these plants in there would be able to grow. But yeah, this would kind of be a little hint to the heritage of this area being a greenhouse in the past. So yeah, we are now getting towards the favorite thing I added to this area, which is crazy to say so, because it was such a simple idea, but I haven't done this before and I just tried it. I wanted to make this whole thing stand on somewhat of a foundation, which looks like a really shabby old concrete mess. But I didn't want to use my concrete texture again, because I have overly used this too much on this island. I'm even going to change some of the textures at the finishing stages of this island, because just to get in a bit more variety. And also to make sure that I have the right package in terms of textures prepared. Anyways, you can see that I'm putting all these, I think it's again from the Ghostbusters pack. It's one of the ceiling pieces from the firehouse, I guess. I'm not entirely sure which one it is, but they have like a very nice and decent concrete texture. And I was arranging them in kind of a shape of like a brick texture, just with some bigger bricks, if you will, and made sure that this is not aligned perfectly, so it looks a little bit older, a little bit more off, a little bit more shabby. And then I also put in some of the smaller pieces here and there to make sure there's a proper ending. But I didn't end here, because I had one more idea, which you will see now. I was creating, and I do know this, and I also used this trick in Parkitect actually recently to create a parking lot. I'm fairly sure that you guys all know these structures on I would call them semi-natural parking lots, where you have this kind of stuff, and then all the shit, the weed is going to grow through. And I used actually these lovely kind of roses over here, and it looks absolutely awesome how this grows just through here. So yeah, I was fairly happy with this little trick I discovered in this episode. Anyways, we are at the end of today's Isla Napali video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I most certainly did enjoy both streams in which we built this, and I did also enjoy this voiceover. I've been very tired before, but I managed to go through the whole nearly 20 minutes. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope to see you in the next episode, and until then, have a very nice and good and perfect day. See you next time. Bye. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you appreciate that. And now a special thanks also to all the people supporting me here on that channel, making this all possible. You can see that on the left hand side right now. And also, if you want to see more of my stuff, make sure to click that card on the right top now. And if you want to stick around, make sure to hit that sub button, which is on the bottom right of the screen. If you want to see stuff on my social media, sneak peeks and stuff like that, it is on the bottom left of the screen. And yeah, I hope to see you again in the next episode. Until then, enjoy your time, guys, and bye.